We adapted ourselves in three ways, right? One of which is we start the engagement very early with our potentials, with our clients. And one of the reasons being a lot of our clients may not be aware of the market, deep market insights, at least from a global standpoint, right? Although they may be very familiar domestically here in China, they may not be aware of the global nuances of market insights. So one, by engaging very early, we'll give them the guidance as well as educate the market on what Google can offer with deep market insights. Second is we sharpen our focus in terms of budget allocation. So the new norm could be not what it used to be, what works well, may not work equally well or well at all in the economic downturn. For example, allocating budget into the new context of what may be better from an investment standpoint rather than simply cutting investment. An example would be adapting to the consumer's behavior or what seems to be an uptrend in the economic downturn era. And lastly, from a vertical standpoint, there are some uptrends and some downtrends to be aware of so that we can adapt ourselves. One of the downtrends, which is pretty obvious, is that anything that's related to microfinancing verticals seems to be taking, in general, a downtrend. On the flip side, the uptrend we have seen are things like IAA, in-apps advertising apps, as well as AI-related apps, all seems to be taking an uptrend. So what we have seen in our past was, for example, the North American market has typically been the tier one, where the spending power tends to be the highest. But lately, we have actually seen that shifted to other markets. Other markets seems not to be the preferred market. For example, Middle East or MENA, or even APAC. Within APAC itself, Southeast Asia, for example, are fast emerging as the so-called tier one or the next tier one, if you will. And then on the vertical front, I mentioned earlier, there's some very obvious, strong uptrend verticals that we want to pay more attention to. One of them being, regardless of geo or vertical, one of them being the bidding strategy, that we want to make sure that our clients benefit from that. And one such example is TROAS, Target Return on Ads Investment. This is especially so in times of economic downturn, where our advertisers are more ROI sensitive, maybe less emphasis on branding, but more so on performance, for example. This bidding strategy actually drives maximum conversion. So regardless of the tier market, regardless of the vertical, I think this particular bidding strategy fits very well, especially in times like that. The second item I want to highlight, which is a targeting, because to your point, the vertical or geo, the targeting type. The whole idea of audience signal is to speed up the machine learning process. Because behind the scenes, a lot of things are driven by machine learning. The value proposition of audience signals is to drive machine learning process much faster by means of extending the reach to high quality prospects more efficiently. And secondly, is to find users of the same characteristics that the customer already have in that list. So that is a set of known customers that are very likely convert based on the campaign. Overall, such a targeting type drives maximum higher volume as well as lower CPA. Test out new verticals, and these new verticals will develop into the next frontier as mainstream, if you will. Third would be to be mindful, if I may, around policy, understanding the compliance issue, because regardless of economic downturn or in the future when the downturn is over, this remains an important part of the business. So we would highly recommend to invest time and effort to understand policy and compliance, because imagine if your app has a policy issue, you are actually being non-productive. The app is down, you're actually online driving traffic, but with no opportunity for conversion, if you will. So pay attention to policy and compliance issue. And last, I would say we continue to fine-tune the operations and highly recommend our clients to pay attention to the full acquisition funnel, because in times like this or in the future when economic downturn is over, the whole acquisition funnel may be more finite, meaning there'll be more nuances of importance where we need to pay attention. What the norm that we've experienced may no longer be around. We may need to look into the new norm, be it vertical, be it nuances of web to app, for example, among others. So re-engagement continues to be an important part, regardless of economic downturn or not. The reason being is that users who have already installed the apps, I think it is one sweet spot that we want to make sure that there's opportunity for marketeers to maximize their budget. So through re-engagement, we want users to take a specific action, for example, in-app action. So this continues to be important, regardless of new acquisitions or not. It's an initiative by our marketers. We see in the past a slight shift from new acquisitions channel into existing clients segment. However, that said, I think that's important, but also we need to adopt a mid to longer term view, because the existing customer segment is great. It's great to drive, in quarter in your profitability. But at the same time, looking beyond that, we need also to plan some thinking and ideations, if you will, strategies in terms of future looking. What are the new verticals or the new contexts, if you will, that will drive user acquisitions that will become now your customer segment that you can continuously do your re-engagement?